Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another week of Sorting the Chaos. Um,
What's up, guys? It's
yeah,
the Wrestling Addict.
there's
Welcome to
Mr.
another
O is
week of
in.
Sword Chaos.
Yeah, yep. Here we are. We're just gonna go over some stuff, and turns out we're gonna have some lighters for people to buy with their logo on it in the near future.
Yes, that's coming in 2 weeks' time. I've placed the order 2 weeks, and that's going to be available.
Oh heck yeah!
I can't wait, man. I'm looking forward to having one for myself.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I mean, in my case, I don't really condone smoking so much, but at the same time, you can use lighters for a lot more than just smoking, lighting candles, starting
Can
fires.
fireplaces. You
Yep.
never know. You can light anything with a lighter. For me, smoking, yeah, but for fireplaces, for candles, you can use them for anything, man. They're even a good collectible, you know.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good idea too. Just a good collectible. Yep. So last week I had a lot of stuff I was dealing with, but this week I have a little bit less. My cellulitis has gotten a lot better. I'm feeling like I'm almost back to health finally, so that's good.
I'm glad to hear it, man.
Yeah, me too, man. It was a little bit of a rocky road. I even had the fever come back and yeah, the hospital scare again, but I was able to fight it off and get the fever back down and, just get through that. Other than that, man, I'm really psyched to be here this week.
So am I, man.
It's cool that we have our podcast out on like all the places you get podcasts. So that's kind of cool. We only have one episode out of all the episodes we've done out there, but it's still a heck of a start. And I think we're going to make progress.
Yeah,
I know we have over 5 downloads, so that's pretty cool.
definitely.
That someone actually wants to download and listen to us speak. it's
Yeah.
it's kind of surprising, really. And just a pre warning to everybody. This week's topics are a little scattered. They're kind of out there. They're a little further apart. I don't know. I just had different things come to my mind throughout the week, and I'm like, well, this is something that I deal with in my everyday life. Maybe I need to, learn about it and things like that. That's how I look at it when I'm coming up with topics.
Same with me, man. The topics I gave this week are just thrown out there. They're all things that were just on my mind at the time of the conversation. They're just out there. It doesn't mean they match up, but it does mean they're realistic.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good thing, and that's kind of like what the point of this is. It's kind of what the point of sorting the chaos is. Like when we were sitting there trying to come up with a name forever, we had this idea. I'm like, what do we do? Like, how do we come up with a name for a mental health podcast? We're like, just sitting there thinking. I'm like, you know what? What is the crap that we deal with every day? I would call it chaos. Eh,
It is chaos, man.
exactly.
Every day we try to sort our own chaos. And I mean, if it helps us, hopefully it'll help other people. So
Yeah.
we're just on the right here.
Exactly. So that's what we went with. We're like, sorting the chaos. That's what we want it to be about. So it's about helping everybody, to know what our issues are that we deal with in our daily lives. And maybe your issues too, if you actually, put yourself out there and talk to us about it. It just gives us a place, I would say, to actually try to sort through the things that we don't sort through, the things that we just push off every day.
100%.
So our first topic is one that always should have a little bit to say about for sure. It has to do with ADHD and ADD, which is, I guess, technically the same thing.
Oh,
Um,
100%.
but yeah, that's our first topic today. Well,
Because, I'll get off tonight, right? Like, my personal issue is autism, right? I know ADHD and autism are very different things, but at the same time, they clash in the same areas, right?
Yes.
So, like,
Yeah.
my issue with talking to people, expressing my true opinion,
Yeah.
and that falls under autism, but it also falls under ADHD because I struggle to talk to people. People with ADHD struggle to talk to people, but with autism, we both have the same issue. But we just need to find that common denominator to help each other. But that's a very hard thing to find.
Yep.
So I'm gonna let Seth kick this one off, and I'm gonna hop in on it in just a minute.
All right. Yeah. So first thing is what is ADHD? That's what I'm going to start with. You know, the way to know someone's got ADHD is if they have difficulty concentrating, they're hyperactive and impulsive, they don't like organization, they get frustrated easily, and other things that impair everyday functioning. You know, so like they can't stay on task, they can't concentrate on one thing, and that can lead to a lot of trouble with everyday life. And a lot of times it is even diagnosed in kids. Like a long time ago, it would have been just considered, that kid's just hyper. That kid, just doesn't want to pay attention. And in reality, there's a lot of speculation on what causes ADHD. Some people think that it's just caused by diet. Some people think it's caused by, just down the line of diseases in the brain. But some other people just think that ADHD is just a person that lacks self control
Mm-hmm.
because they're always about what's pleasing their mind, what's keeping their mind busy, what's doing, and always on to like the next task before one task is complete. Or like say they're playing a video game, they want to switch to another game in 5 minutes because they're already bored and they want new excitement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do
Because
you? Yeah. So what do you have to say about that?
I've been there with autism. This is the kind of thing I find it so hard to focus on a certain topic. And sometimes, I get sidetracked. But at the end of the day, I kind of realize that's the topic that needs to be focused on. But I feel like personally, I suffer from autism, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like autism and ADHD have a lot of crossovers, because ADHD, you always need to be entertained in the definition of it, right? Seth, you agree
Yeah.
with that, right?
Yeah. I completely agree.
Autism, you need to stick to the same routine. So even though people say autism and ADHD don't cover up, right? With autism, you need to stick to the same thing every day or you're going to get stressed. But ADHD, you need to stick to what you're doing, otherwise you'll lose like attraction and attention, right? But they
Yeah.
have the crossover that if you lose your pattern, you don't know what's going on, it'll stress you out. Like for me in personal times, going off autism, my personal diagnosis, if I believe in one thing for so long and lose track, I'm going to be really confused. But with ADHD, you need something to keep you entertained. But since I've learned about ADHD, with autism, as long as I keep to something that'll keep me busy, it'll
Mhm.
keep me on track. And I'm sure Seth can understand this
Yeah.
from what he knows about me and other friends. So I'm gonna let Seth take this over. But right now I've thrown in my comprehension between the two.
That sounds good. Yeah, that's true. And like, I can see where you're talking about. And a lot of times with ADHD, or someone with autism gets pinned with ADHD because they think that they
Yeah.
have it too. Like, and there's a lot of speculation on whether or not autism, and ADHD, or maybe just misdiagnosed as the same thing. But I understand that. And this is something that does. I think it helps too. Is when someone actually gets diagnosed with ADHD, a lot of times it makes them feel relief, because they're like, wait a second, now I understand why I'm going from thing to thing. Now I understand the things that I'm experiencing every day. And, it may feel validating to know that there's a reason that you have those symptoms.
Like, for me, about 3 years ago, when I got diagnosed, it was actually roughly 3 years ago. When I got diagnosed with autism, right? People would think that would stress me out, but it was the furthest from. It didn't stress me out. It made me kind of feel comfortable. It's like, do you know what? It finally makes sense that the last 3 years I spent stressed not knowing who I am. It's like I got given the diagnosis of autism, and I was like, do you know what? This is me. It made me feel, a lot more comfortable in my own body, you know? I'm sure
Yeah.
that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. Like it makes you feel like you kind of belong where you have like a
Yeah,
more of a sense of like, why am I different? You're asking all these questions before you find
yeah,
out. You're like,
like
why am I different? Why is this going on? And then when
when
you
I
get
was
that
told I
answer,
had
you're like,
autism,
yeah,
for a lot of people who make them feel stressed out, they'd be like, oh, fuck, I have autism. Oh, shit. But for me, it made me realize, do you know what? This makes me so much more comfortable in my own body. I was like, do you know what? This is what I am. I was like, whether I want to be this or not, it makes me feel so much more comfortable in who I am. And when I was given that diagnosis, it made me a lot happier in who I am. Some people are worried, oh fuck, I'm given this diagnosis, it's gonna stress me out. Personally, when I was given that diagnosis, it made me realize, fuck, this is who I am. This is who I'm born to be, whether I want it or not. It makes me so much more comfortable in my own skin, as opposed to stressing, fuck, I'm different to everyone else. It makes me think, fuck, I'm different to everyone else, but that is who I am, you know?
yeah,
I'm sure that makes sense to you because, me and other people with different diagnoses, but I'm sure it links us up when you think about it, you know?
yeah, yeah. You're definitely right about that.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. This is like, okay. Say you're dealing with someone that has newly found out that they have ADHD. Something you can do is, reassure them that those emotions that they're having are normal. And
yeah,
that even if they're painful at the time, it's completely okay to feel that way. And a good thing is, if you're having those feelings, like talk to other people about how you're feeling and ask for help because when you're newly diagnosed with something like that, like sometimes it's really hard to get your brain to stop.
yeah. Because, I can 100% agree with that because, when I was diagnosed with autism, it took me 6 months, if not more, to accept that was my diagnosis. Because at first I was like, oh no, I don't relate to this. I don't relate to this. But it took me 6 months to realize, you know what? Yeah, this is me. And there's nothing wrong with being me. It's just sometimes it is very hard to accept the diagnosis when you didn't realize it beforehand. But once you realize it, it makes your life a lot easier when you accept what you are. Because it's
Yeah,
not your fault what you are. It's just that's what you're born as. It's a little hard to accept as a human, but once you accept it, it makes your life so much easier. And this is coming from me on a personal level. Once I accepted I was autistic, it made my life 100 times easier. You know, Seth will tell you that because when I knew I was autistic, it made our conversations 100 times easier. And he'll tell you that. I was so
Yeah.
much more relaxed talking to him when I knew what I was,
Yeah.
as opposed to when I didn't know what I was, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So, what about when you found out, because you have ADHD, right, too?
I don't have ADHD, but I have autism. But
Well, I
I'm
thought
sure I
you
can
said
help
you had ADHD. I was
a
confused
little.
there.
No. For me personally, I'm diagnosed with autism, but
Okay.
I wrote a lot of crossovers between the two. Like, personally, I'm not diagnosed with ADHD, but ADHD is, personally, in my view, a low level of autism where you feel hyperactive. But
Yeah.
there is a lot of crossovers between ADHD and autism that it's hard to realize, you know?
Yeah.
Like, personally, I don't have it, but since I was diagnosed with autism, I have a high understanding on that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, well, so that just means it was my mistake for that, anyways. I know that my girlfriend's daughter has ADHD, and
Mm-hmm.
she really she really has a lot of problems with the going to bed part of ADHD. Sometimes it makes you
Mm.
like an insomniac, and like she even takes all this medicine to help her go to bed, but sometimes she still doesn't even barely sleep.
Yeah.
So let's get into like what do we do to help someone with ADHD manage their symptoms?
You know, my small bit of advice is, you make the person realize you relate to them on like a personal level, but you don't relate to them on their diagnosis level. So you need to make the person realize that what they have, it isn't a bad thing. It's something you're born with. You just need to make the person realize that this is a natural thing to them. And you need to relate to them on a, like, you don't need to tell them this is a problem. You need to just tell them this is a part of their life, you know?
Yeah.
That would be my view on it.
That is a very good view. Another thing I would say is like, they say that medications came a long way too, but there's other things you can do and try to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on just a second. Okay, so one of the things eating nutritious food, getting adequate sleep, exercising regularly, practicing mindfulness, and learning time management skills. So what do you think about those
Yeah.
things?
Like, personally with autism, I personally had to realize, just because I'm autistic, I still, like everyone else, I need to sleep 8 hours a day. But for me personally, it's a struggle to sleep 8 hours a day. But the days I do sleep 8 hours a day, I feel so much better about life. I'm relaxed, I'm zen, I'm with everyone else. But for people with autism and ADHD, I feel like sometimes it's a struggle to fit in a normal schedule, like technically normal schedule, right? But
Yeah,
once you can yourself to do that, like, to me, I'm autistic, right? But I still hold a job, I hold a social life, I hold everything. I feel like to to compare that to someone with ADHD, you need to, not that you need to live a normal life, because no one believes in normal anymore.
yeah,
But you know, my personal opinion, if you have ADHD or you have autism, You know, if you can fit in with everyone else, you're really balanced. But if you have the likes of ADHD or autism, sometimes other people need to learn you can't do what everyone else does because you have that disability, right?
Yeah,
But the day,
exactly.
the days like I'm autistic personally, right? But the days I keep the schedule of everyone who lives a technically normal life, right?
Yeah,
You just like, fuck, I'm on top of the world, you know? It's it's tougher for us to do what everyone else does. But when you do what everyone else does, it feels like a huge accomplishment to us. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, for sure.
Is I can keep a normal schedule to everyone else as an autistic person. I feel like I'm doing great, you know? And it's
Yeah,
just that it gives you that feeling of like completing something or accomplishment. It means a lot more than people would understand. But like Seth, between me and you on this podcast, you've an autistic friend, and without saying names, you've a friend with ADHD, right?
yeah,
The day the days we keep up with everyone else, you realize, fuck, we're doing good, you know?
yeah,
It's a hard thing to do, you know? It really is a hard thing to do. But I'm sure you can understand the days we're trying harder than everyone else, you know?
yeah, yeah, for sure. Like sometimes we always struggle, like, or sometimes we will struggle with those things that we have problems with.
Yeah,
But working past them is sometimes you just gotta, suck it up and work past it, and try to take that on. It can be a real struggle.
yeah. Because, there's days, personally, me, I've come on this podcast where I felt a little depressed in my personal life, but I'm at a point in life where I can put that aside and still come live in a podcast giving people advice. Because even though I realize I'm hiding a little bit of my personal life, I've realized if I can do it, anyone else in this world can do it, you know?
Yeah, that is true. And that's how I kind of feel sometimes too, because like, yeah, I feel like I'm a very strong-minded person, but at the same time, like, there's a lot of people that are way stronger than me in the brain. And
Yeah.
if I can do it, I feel like a lot of other people can do it too.
Because, I'm at a point in life where I have friends who are dealing with very tough life situations, right?
Yep.
Like, you know what I'm talking about, but I'm in the middle of depression and autism mixed together, but I'm still getting there, you know? Like, I wouldn't say I'm a happy person. Like, I wouldn't even say it on the podcast. I wouldn't even lie. I wouldn't say I'm a happy person, but I'm content in life, you know? I'm doing what I need to do. I'm content with what I'm doing in life. People need to remember every day doesn't need to be a great day.
No.
Every day just needs to be a day that you wake up and realize, fuck, I'm alive. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. It's a good day. You
Yeah.
don't need to be happy every day. You just need to be content, you know?
Yeah.
I think Seth can agree with me on that.
Oh yeah, that's definitely true. You see, that's the thing that people seem to forget. People seem to think that everyone's happy every day, and that's hardly ever the case. And it's
Yeah,
it's a
like,
kind of a good thing. It's kind of a good thing, that. Sorry, I lost track. Okay, it's a good thing.
I can take over
Yeah,
for you
where
if you
where
want.
was I just a second ago? I can't remember.
You know, as me and Seth were just talking about, like, every day, there's some days in life you
Oh,
don't wake up,
yeah,
right?
that's what we were talking about. Okay, I remember what I was gonna say. So like,
Go for it.
if every day was always great, you would never appreciate the days that were actually great. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? You'd have a lot less appreciation for it. So I think in a way, those struggling days are good to have because then when you have a good day, you're like, man, this is awesome. I love this feeling, and
yeah.
then it also gives you a strong feeling to try to, reciprocate and try to rehab
Like,
happen again.
if you don't mind me taking over here,
But
like, right, the last great day I had was my birthday. I haven't got on with my dad in like a year, but it's the first day we got on great. I was with my friend from my town, we got on great. I was with my friend from wrestling, we got on great, right? That was a great day. We've had days after that where we're just okay, but it makes you realize you appreciate those great days when you have them. Because, yeah, not every day is going to be a great day. It's not going to be great, but as long as you're alive, as long as you're living and breathing,
yeah,
it's a good day.
exactly. That's
Like
at least,
when you wake up, and even if you don't do anything, as long as you wake up, have some breakfast, have some lunch, have some dinner, and then go back to sleep.
yeah,
Even if that's all you do, you realize that's a good day, because you're feeding yourself, you're living a basic human life. That's a good day. And sometimes you need to remember those great days to boost your mood. But just remember, those great days are to come. No matter what you do, even if you feel like you're doing nothing, there's great days ahead of you. And of all people, you can believe me on that because I've lived the lowest days in existence, but just days that I've talked to just friends and nothing else. I've accepted that's a great day. Greatness is in your future, no matter what you think. I'm sure Seth will give you his view on that.
yeah,
But there's always great days to come.
yeah. There is, that's what I was the last week. I was thinking about how bad my life was at the time. Like I've been having chafing in my private area. I've been having my cellulitis, my legs leaking. I was, having all that sickness. I was
Hmm.
having friends that had passed away from my same disease. I was dealing with that. Last week, there was times I was at the lowest I've been for a very, very long time.
Mm.
But now here I am, happy to be doing a podcast, talking about these things. He's right. Even when you're at your lowest point, even if you do nothing with your day, sooner or later there'll be a day when you wake up and you have something to look forward to, or you do
You
something
know,
that's out of the ordinary, something to make the day especially
you know,
great.
as long as you realize you're alive, you're breathing, and you're present in this earth, you know, you're doing good. Because, personally, I know people who want to be on the closest edge of death, but yet they wake up and they realize, fuck, I'm still alive. You know, if you realize you're still alive, technically that's the best day of your life. Because the day you realize you're not alive is going to be a huge struggle. But if you wake up in the morning and even take a breath of oxygen, you realize, fuck, I'm doing better than a lot of people. Today is a great day.
Yeah, yeah. If you look at life like that, you can make the simple things seem more meaningful too.
Yeah, a day you take a deep breath is the day you realize you're living a good day. So anything above that is a great day.
Yep, that is true.
Yeah. But what's our next topic tonight?
Well, our next topic is bullying.
Bullying. Fuck.
Yep, we're talking about bullying tonight.
You know, I'll let you kick this off, and then I'm gonna hop in on it.
Yeah, well, this is just the point of time when I have two girls that are in my life now, my girlfriend's daughters. One's name's Nevaeh, one's name's Gabby. One's autistic, and one is a little bit bigger busted for her age. She's like bigger, like I would call her. She's just bigger than most of the other kids. That's what we'll call it. And they do things like call her ugly or call her fat or make her feel bad, and like I just really I worry about that. I worry about bullying and the effects that it causes on kids. When you were growing up through school, did you ever have anything like that?
Personally, man, I did. I was, as you know me personally, I was a heavier kid. To other kids, I looked fat. But for 6 years of primary school, I was always known as the fat kid, right? But since I accepted who I am as a person, I was like, yeah, I'm a bit heavier, but I was like, I'm still in the shape to be a pro wrestler, you know? Once I made people realize I am who I am, they stopped bullying me because they were like, yeah, I can call you fat, but I'm not going to take offense to it, you know? Like, yeah, I can be on the heavier side compared to them, but at the end of the day, I am who I am. Not everyone is built to be skinny. Not everyone is built to be a bit heavier. You gotta accept who you are and accept who you're meant to be. Like if I wanted to, I could be 50 pounds lighter, but right now it doesn't suit me. But everyone's gotta be themselves. Just because you're heavier than someone else doesn't mean they have the right to bully you on it.
Yeah, this is the thing that I'm trying to understand more. Like what has society done to make people think they should be a certain way all the time?
Like, if I was fitting by society, I'd be about 90 pounds lighter. But at the end of the day, I'm not 90 pounds lighter, but I gotta still be happy with myself. If you're heavy, it's not a reason for people to bully you. At the end of the day, if you're heavy, you can take a lot more mental and physical bullshit than skinny people can. You gotta live as yourself and not accept other people judging you on it. You gotta accept who you are. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, I completely agree. Like, and a lot of times they're bullying's about average. Like people this is what they're used to seeing, so they think, well, everyone has to be this way because that's the way I see it. But a lot of times that has nothing to do with anything. And the other reason why a lot of people bully is because they have a bad home life.
Hmm.
But they when they have a bad home life, they're wanting to lash out at other people and make them feel bad because that's how they feel. And and
Yeah.
this in my eyes, this is from bad parenting. Like you're not teaching these kids how to say how they feel,
Mm.
in a healthy way. Like you're just instead of not teaching them anything. And in my brain, that seems to me like like a bad parenting thing. Like why aren't you telling them that it's okay to be different? Why aren't you telling them that every book has a different cover and you know
Yeah, like
it doesn't mean that the
I
pages are different. It just means that the cover is different.
yeah, like I always wanted to be a pro wrestler, right?
Yeah.
But I've accepted I'm not in the physical shape to be a pro wrestler, but that doesn't mean that's not what I want to do at heart.
Yeah,
So like
and that's also that's also something you gotta start thinking about too. You're not in physical
yeah,
shape right now, but if you actually put the work in and found a way to have a means to, eat enough, to work out enough, you could be in that shape, and a lot of times, a lot of people don't know, but a lot of wrestlers use anabolic steroids to get themselves boosted to where they want to be.
Yeah, like, my situation right now, I'm not in the physical shape to be a pro wrestler. I can still keep up with the guys, but not on a show level. But if I took 2 years and managed a diet, managed everything like that, I could be on a show level. But, I know a lot of wrestlers who take steroids, who take this, who take that. But at the end of the day, you realize if this is your goal in life, you can get there naturally, you know?
Yeah.
Like, even if you want to be like a gymnast
Oh, but
on a
but
first,
you do know the anabolic steroids aren't like they're legal steroids. They're the ones that you use through your diet and you eat them.
yeah,
Okay, just
like,
making sure you do that.
at the end of the day, you can get anything at a natural level. You just
Yeah,
need to accept take longer than people who are taking those substances, you
yeah,
know?
that's true. And also, like you got to have the money for the diet. Like the amount of food you
Yeah,
need to eat to bulk up and become big, it's a lot. It's also like if you ever take a chance and just Google it, Google what The Rock eats in a day.
yeah, like,
That's
you're going to continue now, but I'm going to take a quick 2 minute break. But I'm
fine.
sure
Go
you
ahead.
can continue
Yeah.
the conversation. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I'll be
can.
back.
Okay, but let's get back into the bully thing. Okay, the reason that yeah, I told you guys exactly why I'm talking about bullying, and this is I'm just gonna tell you information about bullying because some people think bullying isn't that big of a deal, but in reality, bullying is abuse. Bullying is a form of abuse. Bullying is a narcissistic sort of act in making the first statement. It's like it's a form of narcissism. So these people could grow up to be complete narcissistic bad people if we don't do something about it in the early stages of their health, or of their youth. Um, and then you also gotta think about, like bullying and forms of abuse are selfish and or sadistic, destructive, or other violent acts performed on another person. And that these bullies really have to be, I feel like they need to be taught how to, express their emotions and taught that it's wrong what they do to other kids. And, it can have long term emotional damage on kids. And that's bad. Like a kid just going to school being themselves can get long term emotional damage just because that's where they have to be, because we're told we have to go to school. You get in trouble by the state if you don't, and things like that. So that's pretty horrible that we have to be, pushed into that. When I was a kid, being in a wheelchair, I was bullied a lot. Like when I was, first in the wheelchair at 15 or in fifth grade, I had to be pushed around by people and I had to push myself in my wheelchair everywhere. And kids would make fun of me, they would be like, well, haha, you can't play this game, you can't do this. You're not good at this because you're in a wheelchair. You have so many limitations. That is really stuff that happened to me as a kid. But the experience of being bullied can cause a lot of long-term damage. This is self-evident and also supported by an increasing body of research. It is not necessary to be physically harmed in order to suffer lasting harm. words and gestures are quite enough. In fact, the old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never harm me, is more or less exactly backwards for the most part. Physical damage sustained in a fist fight kills readily, while mental damage can last forever.
Yeah, like, if you don't mind me butting in on this,
But
right? When I was in primary school, I had people hit me, I had people knock me out. It never bothered me, right? But there's certain words people said to me, and even after everything I've dealt with, there's certain words people said to me that the words hurt more than physical actions. And words are hard to deal with, man. But sometimes you realize, you can deal with physical injuries, they'll recover.
yeah,
But some things say to you, you just never come past. And you have to, it's as if you have to drop yourself to their level to understand why they said it.
yeah, yeah,
And
I
it's
can
only then
completely
you'll
agree with that.
understand.
Mhm. Completely agree with that. But some of the effects, okay, we're going to go over the long term and the short term effects of what happens to people that are bullied typically. So, one thing that will happen is they'll get angry, they'll be depressed, they'll be anxious in avoiding different situations in which bullying may occur or has occurred in the past. There's greater incidence of illnesses, so like maybe they're getting hurt by a bully, maybe they're pretending that they're sick to get away from a bully. Lower grades is another thing. And when it gets really hard in the short term, even suicidal thoughts, there's 3% of people who are being bullied that are actually having thoughts of just ending their lives because of how bad they
Yeah,
feel. That's a big and a sad deal, because like I hate to think that there's kids out there right now every day thinking about how bad their life is because of someone else treating them badly or bullying them. Like that shouldn't be a thing, Like we should be spreading positivity and love and not knocking each other down every chance we get.
yeah, like I'll throw something out there that I didn't think I'd throw out in this podcast. But
Welcome, Sir
I
Rocco.
find I finally realize I'm comfortable to throw this out. Sometimes you get to a point in life where you think you're on top of everything, you know? Seth will understand this. Seth, when you think you're in control of everything in your life, right?
Yeah.
There's days you'll get where you finally realize, do you know what? I'm not in control of this. But, sometimes you get to that point where you feel like vulnerable. But
Yes.
sometimes you get to the point where when you feel vulnerable, you finally realize, I'm on top of this. You're like, I finally accepted this.
Yeah.
Like sometimes the strongest thing you can do in life is accept that you're struggling with something. You know,
Oh, yeah. You see, that is
because
actually a very good point because accepting what's going on in your life is a lot better than trying to ignore it.
yeah, like I've accepted, like personally in my head, I've passed a lot of things, and I feel like I'm stronger than a lot of things. But like today, there's certain things I've realized in my life where I'm like, fuck, yeah, I'm stronger than other things, but this thing is making me feel vulnerable. Like Seth will tell you, today Seth realized I feel a little vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I give you full permission to tell you that I felt a little bit of vulnerability today, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. But that happens. I mean, I've been there too, where, vulnerability just, it happens. You feel open and like, you know, eh, sometimes, you feel exposed to your emotions and you don't even know how to deal with them, like, and you're trying to deal with them in an appropriate way while in your brain there's nothing appropriate even going on. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, like sometimes you want to hurt something. Sometimes you want to cause damage emotionally. Sometimes you just want to break down, and it's not always socially acceptable, which sucks. And,
like
then when you do get that chance, like, to break down, you're usually by yourself, and then that's not even a great situation.
I've talked to Seth on days where I thought I was at my lowest, right? But even he told me, he's like, you feel like you're at your lowest now, but there's so much other points in life that you're stronger at, you know? Like right
Yeah.
now, personally, on one specific topic, I feel like I'm at my lowest. I don't know what to do. But on
Yeah.
other topics, when it comes to breakups and things like that, he's literally told me, he's like, you're at your strongest. He's like, you maybe feel weak in one point, but at 9 other points, you're strong, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
that does that is something that happens a lot, Um,
yeah,
and so now let's kind of get into a little bit about the long term effects of the bullying. So one thing
yeah.
is reduced occupational opportunities, um,
Hmm.
lingering feelings of anger and bitterness, desire for revenge. You can have difficulty trusting people, and interpersonal difficulties, including fear and avoidance of new social situations because of the way you felt exposed in the past. Um, an increased tendency to be alone instead of actually being around a crowd of people. You'd rather be, by yourself in the movie theater eating popcorn or something. Um,
Yeah, I've been at points in my life where I felt like I wanted to be alone for a comfort zone. But when I finally pulled myself to not be alone and speak out on my issues, like if there's a point in life, you feel alone, when you speak out on what's making you feel alone, sometimes that's what will make you feel that bit more comfortable in life, you know?
yeah,
Because just because you as a person feel alone, maybe there's 30 other people who relate to that. And
yeah,
when you realize other people relate to that, you're not alone. You're 1 in 30, you know?
yeah.
And when you talk about it and sort the chaos with it and stuff, you realize, hey, I'm not alone. I'm 1 of 30.
It,
And when the 30 pull your brains together on the situation, you realize, hey, I'm better than being alone. I am part of a community,
yeah,
you know?
and then you think about this. What if we all thought like that every time something was going on with us and we try to find someone with a like-minded problem? Like, think of how much more powerful we could be, how much more undivided we could be. We could be united, by just the things that are wrong with us instead of, looking at them as negatives and bad things, which still they will be. You have an emotional support group to be okay. Like you can work yourself through all these issues and feel
I'll,
comfortable, and you feel more comfortable because it's people with the same amount of issues. Like you got the people that go to like Sexaholics Anonymous or Alcoholics Anonymous or Substance Abuse Anonymous. Like, and in those groups, you're able to heal and grow because you're all dealing with the same type of thing.
yeah, I'll throw something quick out there. Like Seth knows, tonight, I didn't feel like I was ready for this podcast. But once I told Seth what I was going through, he was like, we're all going through this. And I was like, "Do you know what? That gives me another reason to do this, to help other people. Because
Yeah,
just I felt alone doesn't mean that if I tell other people this, they'll realize, hey, I'm part of a group. We're all feeling like this. Let's help each other, you know?
yeah. And a lot of those, and a lot of that tendency to be a loner may be from your past of being bullied when you were in school.
Mm-hmm.
That's what made me not want to be in a lot of social situations because I felt like I was different. I felt like I was weird. I felt like, I was kind of like an abomination. And everyone would tell me that, like you're weird because you're in a wheelchair. You're weird because you can't do everything that I can do. Um,
It's like with me, I felt weird because I was like, fuck, I didn't deal with a breakup the way everyone else.
I'm
But
busy.
then
You can't come in here right now.
there's a lot of guys who realize, hey, I dealt with a breakup the same
Oh,
way as him. It may not be the stereotypical way, but that doesn't mean that it's not the right way, you know?
yeah. But I'm sorry, my little niece came in. But anyways, so that could be why we have a tendency to avoid social situations and be alone. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and here's another one: self-esteem problems, increased incidence of continued bullying and victimization. So, like, it could even be that you let someone bully you, and then they bully you for like the rest of your life that you know them. But then you might have the what is that called? It's like where you're attracted to the thing that abuses you. I forget what it's called, but it's a big thing. Where like you're used to it and it becomes a part of your life, and that you don't want to
Does
do
that
anything about it.
it makes it feel like a normality, even
Yeah,
though it's
yeah,
not?
yeah, exactly, and that can just make it continue through the rest of your life. Because
Mm-hmm.
like maybe you feel that's normal, and then anyone that bullies you from that point on in your life, you just let them bully you. You let them victimize you, and you don't know
Yeah,
what to do about it.
yeah.
Okay, and now I guess I kind of did this backwards. Should have probably talked about the sides of bullying first. But anyways, we'll get into that now. The sides of bullying. This is stuff to look for, like in your friends or in your kids. To see if there's maybe issues going on at school. One, anxiety and stress headaches. That is something
Mm,
that is going to happen. When they get home from school, they're like, "Mom, I have a headache." Or they get off of work, "Man, I have a headache," and you could be asking them, "Well, where's the headache at?" And if you can like give them a massage and it starts to feel better, then that can give you a sense that something went bad within their day and give you a reason to check on them. To ask like, "Was everything okay? Did anything happen today that wasn't normal?" Um, and then another thing would be like reluctance to go to an event that they usually go to. Like say they always go to a basketball game every week, and then all of a sudden they're like, "No, I don't want to go to that basketball game." That could give you a chance to say, "Hey, did something happen at a basketball game recently? Like, why don't you want to go?" The main thing I would suggest always is, to communicate with the people that you worry about. Like, ask them questions. You know, be like a detective and, ask them things like,
yeah.
if
Like,
something's out of the ordinary, say something. Don't just nod it off and be
like
like, "Oh, well, that could be different, but it's not a big deal."
for me tonight, right? Seth, this is even exclusive for you, right?
Yeah,
There's this girl that I've been best friends with on a friend level for the last 2 months, right?
yeah,
She's gone back to her ex, right?
yeah,
I personally think is the wrong thing to do based off what she told me,
yeah.
right? But since she did it and she told me she thinks it's the right thing, I am going to be nothing but supportive for her because she thinks it's the right thing, right?
And that's good. And it also makes sense to be supportive and stay close. So if
Yeah,
something it happens, you can still be there for the person you care about.
the way I see it, it could go wrong in 2 months, right?
It could go wrong in a
And
week.
it could. It could go wrong in a week. It could go wrong in a month. It could go wrong in 2 months. But at the end of the day, since I am good friends with this person, even if I advise this, even if I advise them against it, if they come back to me in 2 months, being like, "Look, I fucked up. Help me," I'm still gonna be there for them, you know, because I'm gonna be their friend through this, and I'm gonna be their friend after this, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I hate to see my friends hurting. Like, Seth, when you were hurting, it hurt me. When
Yeah.
this person was hurting, it hurt me. But I just want the best for my friends, you know?
Yeah.
And as long as the best is happening for my friends, it'll make me feel happier in my life, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's definitely, I completely understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see. This one doesn't make much sense. One of the ones they have written on this was sudden loss of friends. But why would you
Yes.
lose friends because of bullying? I'm confused by this.
I can throw this out there,
Okay, cool.
right?
Maybe you can help me
You
understand it.
know the person I'm saying I have tried to help,
Yeah,
right? They have gotten back with their ex and have kind of dropped me, right?
yeah,
But yet, even though they dropped me and got back with their ex, I still want the best for them. So even though they have dropped me as a friend, I am still looking out for them and want the best for them.
yeah. But my question is, why would bullying affect you having friends?
See, how do I put this? It's not really on the topic of bullying. This was a separate topic,
Yes, I
right?
know. We should try to keep it on that because you don't want to get too much into
Yeah,
what you're talking about.
yes. But if it makes sense, sometimes someone will drop you for a relationship, right?
Okay, so maybe the person bullying them is drop, or maybe them being bullied is getting them dropped by their friends because they believe the bully. But say the
Yes.
bullies get saying
But
they're ugly or saying they're stupid or making fun
that's
of
the
their
thing.
clothes, then these
They
other kids go
they could
along
be
with it, and that's why they lose friends.
exactly. They could be bullied into a relationship, yes. But at the end of the day, even when the relationship goes wrong, there's certain people who will still be there for them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Even though they mightn't agree with the relationship, once it ends, they will still be there for them as a friend. Do you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
So my kind of point in that is people will always be there for you no matter what.
If they truly care for you.
Yes, like me.
Okay.
That's my
Yeah.
point.
All right. Here's another thing to look for: intense emotions. Whenever your children
Mhm.
have an intense emotional reaction to something that shouldn't be as intense or as emotional as they make it, there's usually an underlying issue that you need to ask about. You need to be like, is something wrong? Did something happen to you? That's the main thing you want to ask these people when you've noticed something out of the ordinary. Because so many of us just avoid something just because it's out of the ordinary. Like we'd have to see it happen over and over again for us to be like,
Mhm.
hey, that's a problem. What's going on? But
Like
I would say the
I'm
second you notice that something's out of the ordinary with somebody you love or your kids, that you just look into it right away.
yeah, like I'm sure you've realized with me in the last week or two there's something out of the ordinary, right?
Yeah.
But I still got hand of it. I still got I'm still in control of this, right? Like, my life right now, it feels like there's something out of the ordinary. But personally I believe that I'm still in control of this. I still got this, you
Yeah.
know? But Seth, I feel like the day you realize there's something really out of the ordinary in my life that I can't control, I am 100% positive that you will tell me, you
Oh,
know?
yeah. If I noticed it, yeah,
As,
I would definitely tell you.
as me and you as friends, I'm sure you will realize the day something is past what I can deal with.
Yeah.
Because whether I tell you or not, I'm sure you will realize there's something off.
Yeah,
You know?
I definitely could agree that I would definitely, because like, like I would not have even let you do today if I thought you could handle it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Like
even though I'm in it,
instead of a podcast today, I would have been talking to you and helping you sort through your
yeah,
problems.
I'm sure you realize today, I'm in a bit of a problem, but I realize I was like, fuck, I have a problem, but I still got this podcast.
Exactly, and not
I'm
just
like,
that. You
I
see,
have a problem,
the
and I'm
reason
gonna sort this.
exactly that's the
It's
reason for the
essentially,
podcast.
yeah, like I'm still sorting my own chaos,
Yep,
but I can still do the podcast
exactly, and
because what I have
we get,
going on
and then
is
we get to,
bad enough to not do it. I still got this,
yeah, and we
you
get
know?
to continue talking about it and continue to work through
Yeah.
the issues that we're having.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Because, as the podcast knows at this stage, I'm going through a little bit of a tough time mentally.
yeah,
That's true. But I'm still at the point where I can sort my own chaos.
yeah,
Because this is nothing I've never dealt with before. It's
yeah.
like,
You're
yeah,
still
it's a bit
strong enough to deal
chaotic.
with what you're going through. Yeah,
But I've dealt with so much in life that I can still sort this chaos while still hosting a podcast.
yeah,
It's a little tough for me, yes, but I still got this in control, you know? Because I know for a fact if I didn't have this in control, Seth would not let me co-host this podcast,
yes.
you know?
I definitely wouldn't
But
be letting
even
you go
you know,
if that was
like
happening.
Seth, even you know that I got this. You know that this is my control.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. If I didn't think you could control it, I definitely wouldn't have said something. So another thing that we need to talk about when we're thinking of signs for bullying is like if you notice your kids coming home with like damaged stuff, like or their stuff being missing, and stolen, or maybe they have a bruise in a weird place that you wouldn't normally see a bruise.
Hmm.
And that's something definitely to look out for.
Yeah.
And another problem is like say that people stop eating around you, like people that you care about stop eating. A lot of times, if someone stops eating out of nowhere, it's because they're being told they're fat, or they're being told they eat too much, or they're being told that they're gonna get fat. And that can lead to bulimia, anorexia, or it can even turn it into the opposite. They emotionally binge eat. The people that eat ice cream when they get upset, or eat sweets when they
Yeah.
get upset. It can have the opposite effect too.
Like, I'll throw this out there personally. Like when something really stresses me out, I get high. But even Seth can tell with what's stressing me out currently,
Mhm.
I haven't got high to deal with it. I can deal with it sober.
Yeah,
So
well,
I'm
you
still
see
being
that
honest
that
here. Certain things,
and that's a good thing to try to do. And if you can do it and be sober, that's good. Because as
Yeah,
we talked about it, what do you do? When you try to deal with something by getting high or substance abuse, you're not gonna get over it by getting higher doing substances. You're gonna
exactly.
all you're doing is delaying the emotions, and you're gonna have to deal with them when you get sober.
Like, I'll throw it out there. I'm a person who's dealt with substance abuse, but I know with the issue I have right now, even I can deal with it without substance abuse.
Yeah,
It's a little tough, yes, but I can still do it sober.
but
It's tough, 100%, but Seth knows. Once I'm on this podcast, he knows I've got my shit together, you know?
if it puts you in, see, but that's the thing. Don't forget that there's a misconception that actually helps, and it really
Yeah,
doesn't help. Like it helps you numb the pain for a period of time, but that pain doesn't go away. It doesn't just
I'm the
disappear. It comes
I'm
back
the
at the
first
end of
person
it.
that can, I'm the first person that can say this. It numbs the pain for 24 hours.
Yeah,
Yes, I can agree with that. But 24 hours later, that pain is going to be back. And you can only push that away for so long, you know?
Yeah.
Eventually, you're going to have to deal with it personally.
Yeah, you will.
That's why in my life, I don't push pain away. Once it faces me, whether it hurts me or not, I deal with it there and
Yeah,
then and sort it out.
but you
You know?
got to remember though that's something newer to you. You would have, two
Oh,
or 3 months ago, you probably wouldn't have done that. You probably would have
oh,
just
fuck yeah. If this was 2 or 3 months ago, I would have dealt with what I'm struggling with substances and whatever I could find.
yeah,
But it's
exactly
only
because
now, since this podcast and since the friends I have, I
yeah,
realize, yeah, I can have a tough time in my personal life, but I can still hop in this podcast and do my thing.
exactly. You can
Because,
still have and this gives you a chance to sort through some of it with actually someone on the other end.
yeah, because, I'm at a point in life where I'm like, if I wasn't sober, I couldn't do this podcast. So this has made me realize I gotta be sober to do this while dealing with my own personal problems.
Yeah,
And while doing those two things combined, it's made my life so much easier, you know?
yeah. I definitely can understand that. Like right
Yeah.
now, mentally, I don't know if you noticed it, but partway through this, mentally, I've had some struggles that is happening from
Mm-hmm.
things that I've thought about and from things in my past coming back at me and making me
Yeah.
feel those emotions again. Um, so like, even now, like that's where I came to a point where I was struggling with it and still just being able to talk, even if it's not about that because it's too personal. It's just
Yeah.
being able to talk about other things, being able to communicate with a person
Like,
and have other people understand and
you
actually
know,
be able to react to what I say, it makes the
even
world a
with me,
difference.
I'm at a point where, if I didn't have a friend like Seth and a podcast like this, I couldn't even talk. But like right now, I have more things on my mind than I know how to deal with. But if it wasn't for friends like Seth, I would have crashed by now.
Yeah,
But by now, I'm at the point where I can talk about it and still deal with it the next day, you know?
yeah.
But
But
I'm in a scary place myself. Yes, I can agree with that. But I'm at a point where I can wake up in the morning and also deal with this to be back in a better place,
yeah,
you know?
I just hope that, that's where I want you to be tomorrow morning. And I'm even going to get a hold of you and check on you tomorrow to make sure you're okay. But, uh,
Yeah.
but I have to say that, we've gone through our points today that I wanted to make. And I don't feel like we really have enough time to get to the subjects that you had planned.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that we might end up calling this podcast today, and we'll use
Hmm.
those subjects the next week when we have our next podcast.
That sounds good to me.
'Cause I've also had the people are here, and I just, I just want to go try and talk to them and do some other stuff. But
Yeah.
okay, more about the lighters. Tell us more about that.
So I have ordered a batch of 50 lighters,
Okay.
right? I've already purchased that that I can print the logos onto them myself. So figuring out cost price, they're going to be about $4 to $5 a piece, since I can print them myself.
That's gonna be in Ireland, though, right? Anywhere else, it's gonna be
In the
shipping.
They're going to be shipped empty, so you're going to have to buy a gas of butane for
Okay.
about 4 to fill them. But
Okay.
with Ireland, they're going to be able to be shipped filled with gas
Okay.
already.
And when we do that, how are we gonna be doing the shipping and buying process? Are we
So
gonna do it through eBay? Are we gonna do it? Or do you have any plans for that yet?
my plan so far is people are going to PayPal me $5 to $6. I still
Okay.
need to figure it out. But $5 to $6 for each lighter, including shipping,
Okay.
going to be to their house. if it's within Ireland, they'll be shipped with gas.
Okay.
And international, they're going to be shipped without gas.
All right. So it's still to be determined on what exactly we're gonna do with the whole buying and selling process. This is gonna be kind of a personal thing. We might end up getting, like a domain and sell it out of there. I don't know yet.
Yeah.
We'll just have to think about it and talk about that more. But but another thing is we do have our merchandise, and it will be in the description of the YouTube, or anytime if you guys go to our Facebook page.
We're gonna have t-shirts. We're gonna have hoodies.
Yeah,
we're gonna have stripes.
Yeah, we have like everything for merchandise right now through Spreadshirt. But sooner or later, it would be nice to just do our own thing. Because that's kind of how it's going to work, guys. Because where always it is in Ireland, shipping from America is just too expensive. Like the spread shop, it's really expensive there. It takes a long time to get there. So he's found what our plan will be is if, like, say these liners start selling, then we might move on to having a T-shirt or something like that. But he'll do it physically there.
If they pick over here in Ireland, I'm gonna talk to Seth and I'm gonna figure out a local American supplier.
Yeah.
But right now, the plan is they sell within Ireland. They're only gonna be like $5, $6.
Yeah.
With gas, but in America, if they pick up over here, we're gonna sort out an American plan where they're gonna be shipped without gas, but they're gonna be roughly the same price if we can figure out the right.
Exactly. As long as we can figure out the right way to do that. Okay, so other than that, guys, this will be available here in a little while in all the places you get your podcasts. I may have to cut a little bit out because we're running out of time and our free plan that we have right now, but I'd like to see a little bit more engagement before I start dishing out money towards, that free plan thing to add more time.
If you don't mind me throwing out there, within the next, without pushing it, within the next 7 to 8 weeks, we are going to have a former WWE superstar in this.
Yeah, that is definitely the plan.
Your personal friend.
Yep.
We need to figure out the right week to do it. It's not going to be this week. It's not going to be next week. But he is going to be on here, and you are going to hear so much from him. You will not hear the end of it for 6 months because that's going to be a personal life goal of mine.
Yeah, definitely, and we'll be advertising that ahead of time, couple weeks, and we'll plan that out. We'll have specific topics that he's okay with. We'll discuss a lot of it. It's going to be a good time, though. It's going to be an event for a lifetime, that's for sure.
I've already talked to him about this. He's down to do it. We just need to figure out the right date and time. We need to make sure that you guys are ready for this, because this is going to be the biggest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I completely agree. All right, but we're gonna call it here. We're gonna end the podcast, guys. We appreciate you guys coming out. We hope you guys listen to us and get something out of the advice we give you. But I appreciate you guys a lot. And what do you got to say?
All I gotta say is, check out our social medias. Rockersgaming on TikTok, Twitch, Twitter. Check out WrestlingAddict on TikTok because I'm starting to post more. You're gonna enjoy our content. It's all mental health focused. You're also gonna see some of our personal lives.
Yes.
You're gonna enjoy that. So all I can say is stay tuned to that.
Exactly, and look us up on Facebook. Order the Chaos. We have a page and a group
page.
Yep.
If you want to like our page, like it, and if you can't find a group, we're gonna invite you to it. But that's been really lately because me and Seth have been posting nearly every day, if not every day on that.
Yep.
So you're going to those platforms.
All right, well, guys, that's it, and we'll see you guys on the next podcast.